All right, guys, bear with me here. This is the YouTube Sports Network. And right now it's a work in progress. You got to bear with me right now because my head is spinning. I thought it was a good idea to start writing about the NFL season a couple weeks ago, thinking that I'd write down all the stats and put down all the information that I remember viewing and seeing. There's a lot of work that goes into it. So anyone who tries to write or starts a blog or whatever the case may be, it's not like you just go ahead and, well, I guess you can. I see some stuff that people write or some stuff that people do, and I don't know, some of it's not spelled, there's no spell check, there's no whatever. But yeah, man, my head is spinning. I've been trying to get at this, and I actually had I had the audacity to think that I was going to go ahead and finish 32 teams in a matter of like 2 days. I really thought that I was going to be able to handle all that, but, there's better luck next year, I guess, as they say. With that being said, I'm going to hurry up or try my best to get through this. So I'm going to cover some of the AFC. Now, what I'm going to be doing is, well, what I try to do all the time is make sure I put a lot of information down on paper. But how often or how effective that is, it remains to be determined because I don't want to bore the shit out of you. So, but anyway, I just want to get into it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. If you watch the game, you see it, you know it, you pay attention to it. You might pick up on some trends. You might go ahead and look at the stats, this, that, and the other thing. So if you hear me shuffling through papers, it's because I am. So that being said, the Houston Texans. Let's talk about those Houston Texans. They were 4-13 last season. See, I want to get this all in because tomorrow's the season. And again, I was writing this blog, a blog post, and I haven't been as active. So I figured, this isn't everything isn't all set up yet. So this network is still a work in progress. But bear with me because the information is still coming in. Just treat it like it's a radio station. Houston Texans 6-13. I don't even got to look at the numbers right now. Guys, they were pretty bad. They weren't explosive. They didn't run the ball well at all. In fact, they were 32nd overall in yards per attempt. They were 32nd in rush yards per game. They were ineffective at doing it. And on top of that, an offensive line that, if you guys know the offensive line, girls and gals, if you know the offensive line, then you know they don't block very well. It's been the case when they had Deshaun Watson. You would think that they want to invest into that part of the football team, but they decided not so much. They got Tunsil, who's been, again, I don't have pro football focus. I don't know the whole grades, but either way, he's a part of a unit that's given up a lot of sacks. So I believe it was 44 in total, which is near the bottom of the league. Not quite the bottom or the horrible Texans teams, the line that was there in previous years, but they need to figure that part out of the game because Davis Mills, third-round pick last year, there's something about this kid. I don't know what it was about him, but there's something about him that he has his game. There's something about his game that it stands out to me. I like it. He has that it factor. He's a tough kid. He's got poise. He gets up just like Deshaun Watson will get leveled. He gets up after getting leveled and just keeps on moving. So there's something about him. He didn't look like he was lost he didn't look like he was lost on the field. 16 touchdowns, 10 picks. I know his record might have been like 2-9, but 16 touchdowns and 10 picks. It doesn't far off. That's not too far from the other rookies that started in the league. I believe Joe Burrow had 13 touchdowns and 5 picks during his rookie year. We can't judge. It's not the same. You can judge it how you want. But what I'm getting at, 16 and 10 ain't that bad. You see other times the guy barely cracks that double digits, and he definitely has more interceptions and touchdown passes. So as bad as the Texans team was, or is, that's not too bad. So there's an it factor to him. Now the thing with the Texans is they need to get, I don't want to bore you guys with the numbers, but they got to get more pass rush. They got to get more pass rush. In order to be tougher to play against, which they're not completely horrible, and even in the last couple of years, they showed flashes, but it's not consistent. Jonathan Joseph, who was like 36 years old, was doing it. That guy is a borderline Hall of Famer, by the way. I think he's a borderline Hall of Famer. because when you do it, when you're good for so long, and you're good for like at least a decade plus. In his case, he played 14 seasons, maybe more, and you play at a high level, and you still find out yourself on other teams going into your mid-30s. It's pretty damn good. So it couldn't be him making all the plays, and that's the thing with the Texans. They accept all. It's a destination where a lot of veterans go. It's a destination where you can revamp your career. So the Texans are Vernon Hargreaves, I believe they got. I think they released him. He's not on the team anymore, but guys on their roster who've gotten shots and maybe necessarily would have gotten shots before. But the most recent I can think of are the ones that right now. I mean, for instance, Steven Nelson. He was with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I believe. He was with the Eagles. He was with the Chiefs. Now at a little bit older age, he's with the Texans. See, as long as you can do a little something still, you're going to get some opportunities. But that's the thing with the Texans. I mean, Desmond King II. Do you guys know Desmond King II? Desmond King II was the guy on the Chargers who, I mean, he was a ball hawk. I mean, he'd get beat. That's the thing. He'd get beat from time to time, and he's an excellent special teamer. Made the Pro Bowl, and I think All-Pro as a special teamer. Don't quote me on that. Take a look yourself. But when he was at the Chargers, he did that. And I think he's got a little bit exposed, so that's why he's not necessarily a starting corner. He's more like a nickel coming in certain packages. But either way, he's high. He's like boom or bust. He can make a great play, and then he can get beat. But the Texans brought him back. I believe he's making $4-something million a year. I think he signed a 2-year deal. So what I'm getting at is if you look at the Texans roster, it's not a horrible roster. A lot of names there you know. But most importantly, I think the two names that stand out are Jerry Hughes and Mario Addison. You combine their sack total, it's 125 total sacks. It's 125 career sacks coming over to the Texans. They're both making a decent amount of money. One at 34 and 35 years old, not bad. You team them with Jonathan Greenard, excuse me. You know, and I think they're onto something. Rasheem Green, I'm not even really attempt this name. Ogbania Okoronkwo. Oh, yeah, it came from the Rams. But what I'm getting at is this. I might not sound like I know what I'm talking about here with the names, but I've seen these guys play. And what I'm getting at, I think what the gist of what I'm getting at, before I continue to talk for too long on one team, because there's a bunch, 32, I just like to say that I think the Texans can at least be a little bit more competitive. I mean, they haven't been able to hit on their draft picks. So, in recent years, you know, they really haven't. So a lot of times they don't keep anybody long term. So Jalen Petrie, second round this year, safety. Baylor I saw, and then Derek Stingley Jr., third overall pick, LSU. I mean, if those guys pan out, I mean, Damian Pierce in the fourth round, running back, who's wearing number 31. I think they try to make people forget about David Johnson. You notice that they do that? They do that a lot. They give the same number. They give a familiar number to somebody else just the very next year, especially if that person didn't do too hot. It's almost like they want you to forget about it, or that jersey sale, those sales to go up. I don't know. Kenyon Green, guard, drafted first round. According to the depth chart right now, he's not in the starting lineup, but I'm not going to dig too deep into that. What I'm getting is I think the Texans can be a little bit more competitive. I like Davis Mills. I think this is a kid that, listen, the Texans at this point right now just need to find who they are. They need to find players for the future. They need to find who can stick around. I mean, the veterans are cool, and they're always important to have. But Nico Collins, let's see you step up this year. I want to see them develop a chemistry between Mills and Collins. Brandon Cooks, do people know that Brandon Cooks is one of four? Let me take that back. Do people know that Brandon Cooks has won 4 1,000-yard seasons? All right, let me repeat that again. Okay. Do people know that Brandon Cooks has a 1,000-yard season with 4 different franchises? Saints, Rams, Patriots, Texans? Name another receiver who's had 1,000 yards with 4 different franchises. I would love to know. Another player I like on this team that they picked up, looks like Tampa Bay dropped them, when they put him, I guess they try to get him on their practice squad practice squad. And Tyler Johnson's a kid that he makes a tough catch. If you really pay attention to him, he can make a tough catch. He's able to snag that ball. He was catching some crucial passes here and there from Brady, and I think it was just a crowded wide receiver room, because otherwise I don't think a guy as talented as Ty Johnson would have made it, or would have to be placed on waivers. So Texans, sneaky little pickup right there with Tyler Johnson. I really like that. I think there's opportunities there. I mean, Chris Moore, third receiver, he was like special teams guy and kind of like third, second, third, fourth options. Hard to say with Baltimore. Like, I don't think you're really looking for him to blossom. I mean, he's reliable. But I think I want to see what a guy like Tyler Johnson does with opportunities there. I mean, I want my guy Brandon Cooks to do his thing. I want to see what they do with Collins. Collins is he's the number 2 behind Cooks. But what do they do with that passing game? Because that running game and Dameon Pierce being high. I mean, he went in fantasy drafts. This guy was going. This guy was getting picked up, and I think it's because that volume. It has to do with volume. Sometimes those players on what they consider bad teams, sometimes those guys are the ones getting their favorite because they're going to get a lot of volume. And last year the Texans rocked with 5 running backs. 5. I mean, the only one survived there from last year is Rex Burkhead. So, and Darway Ongumbole, I butchered these names, but I tell you what, I've seen him. He's been around. Jaguars and other teams, but he's a guy. I think the Bucks too. And this is a guy who can catch it, who can run a little bit, but like that J.D. McKissick type. So I feel like they all might get a little burn in there, but Dameon Pierce is going to dude, and O.J. Howard on the roster. How about that one? All right, let's move on. I'm really going on and on and on. Next team. Should we stay within the division? I guess I'll stay in the division for this one, but I don't want to make that a habit. I don't want to go division by division. I want to stick around, go around the AFC. So let's talk about the Tennessee Titans. So 12-5 last year. First place Tennessee Titans. Can you imagine? People forget about that. People forget that a team like the Titans went that far. Because if you think of the Titans, you don't think of anything that stands out other than Derrick Henry's a beast, and he gets it. Almost had 2,000 yards a couple of seasons ago, but he's coming back from an injury. I think he played in 7 games or 8 games, or whatever it was, and he killed it. He still did his thing in those games. So the Titans are easy to forget about. It's almost like a one-trick pony. I've never really been a big fan of Ryan Tannehill, especially his time with the Dolphins. I mean, like, there's a lot of people out there that say that Ryan Tannehill is pretty good. And then there's other people who see kind of what I see, and I'm thinking, I mean, he's good, but is he great? Is he going to be that dude? Is he going to be able to take you to the next step? I mean, he went that far. I mean, he got pretty damn far. And he's won some games in Titans, so you got to give him credit. But there's something about him, and I don't know if I love it. Let me see what's going on with this microphone. I don't know if this is a microphone portion. I am not mechanically inclined for this job. But either way, here's the thing with the Titans. They're losing some guys along the offensive line. I mean, Roger Saffold's gone. He's now with the Bills. David Quisenberry's gone. So tackle and left guard are gone. And they're filling in. But the thing is, they're filling in with guys that they've had on the roster. So, they pretty much keep that line intact. But the big piece, of course, is A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's no longer with them. He's now moved on to the Eagles. So that's interesting where that's going to turn out to be. But as far as the Titans are concerned, Treylon Burks, the big guy, is he really going to replace A.J. Brown? I don't know if I see that coming right away. But then again, to be honest, have not seen a lot of what the Titans have done. I don't watch a lot of the preseason. I kind of just go by what I saw last year, and then also here and there watch, you can watch your highlights, but you know what you see. I mean, for that, you're going to have to go here on YouTube. You're going to go ahead and have to do your thing. Hold on, incoming message. What is this about? Damn. This guy did his thing. Damn, that's a day. That means I'm gonna be, not I don't want to say interrupted, but soon enough. Hey, someone's walking through that door. Anyway, Traylon Burks, left wing. I was about to say he's supposed to take over for AJ. Let's see how that works out. I'm a big fan of Robert Woods right now. I mean, if he's fully healthy, he's that type of elusive receiver that Tannehill can use. The thing is, it's like if it's one guy, it's either a wide receiver, two tight ends, or Derrick Henry. There's nothing more than that. So are the Titans gonna change up the offense just a little bit? They need to spread the ball around a little bit more. And I think they have an interesting receiving group here. Nick Westbrook, Ike Hine. Oh God, I tell you, I'm really bad with the names. But I seen him last year coming on a little bit towards the end of the year. And he was catching some important footballs there, and I think he had a couple touchdowns. So, I mean, if he can come back and do his thing, and then with Burks developing and then Robert Woods taking over, I mean, the Titans have to move the ball. They're gonna have to throw the ball around a little bit. But as far as defensively, that's something that I want to see. I don't know if anyone noticed, but if you watch the Titans this Sunday or later today, you're gonna see that Jayon Brown is no longer there, and Rashaan Evans is no longer there. Evans signed with the Falcons. Brown signed with the Raiders. At one point, I swear, I remember I would always look at the roster, and I noticed how the Titans have so many linebackers. They had I forgot this guy's name, Finch, something. They had like 8 brothers and sisters. I just used to be amazed at how many people they had on the. Is he there right now? No, I used to be amazed at how many people they have, linebackers they have. They're a lot of depth. But and David Long Jr., who's now their starting inside linebacker, I mean, he was one of them. So good to see he survived that. They also got Zach Cunningham, who, if you ever watched the Texans play, he's all over the field. So now last year he wound up on the Titans. If you guys ever notice, that happens a lot, where a player leaves one team and goes to another team within the division. And I'm talking about hockey. I'm talking about football. I mean, I wouldn't say basketball too much. That doesn't happen a lot, but hockey, and definitely hockey and football for sure. It's just something about when you leave one team, you go to another team that's in the same division. Baseball too. But yeah, so what are the Titans going to do? That's the thing, because defensively, it all starts, I mean, they need to get pressure on the quarterback. I don't think that's something, I mean, they got Jeffrey Simmons, who's a monster up front. But then if you look, there's a lot of guys there that really aren't high draft picks or even were part of the team originally. They were picked up. So this team is starting to become like patchwork in a way, where we're gonna have to see what they can get out of the guys they have. I mean, not that they're not going to be competitive, because Mike Vrabel's there and he won Coach of the Year last year. So obviously he's an X factor. Anytime you have a Coach of the Year award winner, you're going to have an X factor. So what did they do? Bud Dupree, you got to see Bud Dupree, big free agent signing. Is he going to be one of those cuts that come up out of nowhere, in a couple of years or something, because he just didn't perform? So I mean, he was even when he started doing his thing with the Steelers. Didn't it take him a little while to get that going? So I want to see. I mean, secondary is fairly young. I mean, they got one of the better safeties in the game, Kevin Bayard. He's a ball hawk. He's all over the field, so he's going to have to obviously be the leader he is. But Caleb Farley, what's he going to do? Christian Fulton, what's he going to do? You need these guys. They're going to have to rely on these young corners. I see they drafted a kid named Roger McCreary in the second round. Everybody knows about these young kids. You can always chime in and let me know. I mean, I look at the tape here and there, and before the draft, I take a look. But when the news just like this, and I've been trying to cover all these other things going on, I get lost in the shuffle. But again, what are they going to do? I don't think they're going to be the strongest defense in the world. They lost some guys. Daquan Jones signed a pretty decent contract with the Bills, and you saw him the other day. He did his thing in the rotation for the Bills. So I want to see what happens there. That's what I want to see. 47 sacks allowed last year on the offensive side. So what happens there? What happens with Tannehill? Because if he doesn't have his dude Brown, and then he has to run for his life, and the offensive line isn't doing their thing, and defensively they're having a hard time, I mean, this is kind of like one of those make or break. This could be make or break. So, but they might find something. They might be able to hang tight anybody be able to win some games? I mean, they will be able to win some games, but you don't know what you're gonna get out of the Texans, out of the Titans team this year. DeMarcus Walker from Houston. I was just looking at him, younger kid. Houston let him be out, and I believe he was with the Broncos. He might be in for a little something over there, but they need pass rush. They need their pass rusher. Man, 20 minutes I've been talking, and it's only been 2 teams. I gotta move on over here. Oh, Malik Willis, can you imagine? Wow, I think I gotta get out of there yet. Malik Willis, my man. Now, I want to see what goes on there. Does he eventually, later in the season, find a role? Does he eventually get some burn with the team? I think there's a strong chance that if the Titans really don't, like, they start to falter, that worst to first, well, this can be like a first to, like, well, not worse. I mean, the Texans going to be better than the Titans. Bet you the Texans beat the Titans this year. But that's it. You never know. But I want to see Malik Willis might get his shine. Might get his time this year. I think that's fair to say. All right, I'm going to move over to the Broncos. I got to go all my papers over here. I got all these papers over here. I mean, I don't really have to look at it right now because at the end of the day, most importantly, we all know who's there right now. And it all comes down. I hope my microphone. I hope you guys can hear me. Or anyway, I hope I'm being heard. Where is the microphone on this thing anyway? I hope I'm being heard. At the end of the day, let me see. Hello? 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 Sound like an idiot. Oh, what is that? That's what a microphone is. I should be talking over here. Let me get closer. All right. Yeah. Wait. Sorry, I'm bugging out. Excuse me. It's pretty late over here. What are we talking about? Broncos. Let's talk about the Broncos. This is YouTube Sports Network, everybody. Like I told you, unorthodox. I never told you I was going to be professional. I never said I was going to be something that you see on TV. Never. We're still working on the backdrop. We're still working on things. Hopefully you can hear me, but it would suck to be talking here to myself. Anyway, the Broncos, they were 7-10 last season. Did we know that they were 7-10? Well, here's the thing. Comes down to the quarterback. Plain and simple, comes down to the quarterback. The thing is, they weren't horrible at moving the ball. Like, they got up the field, but that's because they had a great running game. I mean, if you look at Javonte Williams, who's a hot fantasy pick this year, and if you look at Melvin Gordon, who really didn't get picked much at all, or at least near the very end, they split carries. And I think Gordon had 0.1 of a percentage point better yards per carry than Javonte Williams. Not that means anything, but it's nice to see Gordon is still doing his thing because they're always quick to dismiss these guys once they reach a certain age. Man, I hope I'm being heard. I gotta fix this, man. Oh, I hate to have to talk around. Never the same. All right. When I stand close like this, it works. All right. So, what am I talking about here? Oh, I'm talking about the Denver Broncos. So, the difference is going to be this. See? So, one of the main stats, if I'm going to give you some stats, I'm going to give you this. Ready? 21st in third down percentage, 22nd in red zone percentage. 21st on third down, 22nd in the red zone, 23rd in points per game. Now, is it hard? Is it difficult to imagine that if they got better at this part of the game, they got better in these smaller areas of the field and on crucial third downs, that they would score more points? Is that hard to imagine? Now, when you think of Russell Wilson, what do you think of? A guy who somehow always finds a way. I believe he has over 30 game-winning drives, and he has over 20-something fourth quarter comeback. Whatever the numbers are, you don't have to know exact digits. You just know that he does it. Just follow the Seahawks. This guy, that's why he's a great fantasy quarterback, because there's times you think he's dead in the water, and all of a sudden he'll throw 2 touchdown passes in the final 5 minutes and almost give the Seahawks a chance, or they do come back. So the guy is probably not this year. I mean, he's going to do his thing, but with the defense that the Broncos have, now they have a defense that ranked 3rd in points per game. So my thing is this: 3rd in points per game. They, basically, if you really look at them, they're very structured defense. You know the linebackers are going to make tackles. They're not going to miss tackles. And if I looked at the stats, like, holy crap, they were first, and they had the lowest amount of missed tackles. And it's been that way for a while. Missed tackles are going to be good. Going to be low. They're going to make their tackles, and they're going to put their secondary is going to be good. I mean, their secondary is going to be structured and sound, and they're not going to be that easy. They're not going to be easy to move the ball on. It's like a whole structured defense. It's like, think of it as like the Steelers in a way, and how they, it's like a history of defense. Like quietly, if you think of the Broncos, when they got a good thing going on over there. Like especially the good Broncos teams, it's not just a high flying offense; it's a good defense to go with it. So, when I think of the defense, though, I'm thinking that it's going to be they might surrender more points this season because I believe that they're going to have more margin for error, I guess you can say, because when their offense last year was 23rd in points per game, the Broncos, I mean, it kind of like forces them to hunker down a little bit more, but I think they're going to have more margin for error, and they're going to be more of like a ball. I think they're going to have more turnovers this year than they had last year. I think they're going to be going for a little bit more. They're going to have a little bit more room to play with, and I think it's going to be one of those things when they do win, like they might control more games, so they might even be on the field less than they were last year, although you can't really say that as well because for the Broncos to stay on the field, they had to run the ball really well, which is I think they were 13th in the leagues of doing so. So you understand the logic there? So if anything, I'm going to see a lot of late game sacks. I'm going to see some picks to seal the game at the end. I think you're going to see a lot of like big moments on the Denver defense. So fantasy already started pretty much. Once the first game starts, there's no drafting after that, at least in my opinion. So I think the Broncos are going to – I'm probably not going to have the third in points per game. It's going to probably go up a little bit, but they're going to have more turnovers. I really believe that. And I really believe that Bradley Chubb has he played in 7 games last year due to injury, I see. But he had 0 sacks. So, I don't know. I believe he's a real strong candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. There's something about that. I just think he's going to go off. Now that Randy Gregory's there too, he signed a 5-year, $70 million deal. So you don't just bring over a guy like that for nothing. He's going to do his thing. So I think the tandem of those guys, one is going to help the other or going to help each other regardless. And I think Bradley Chubb is going to be that dude. And I think if you're looking for a long-term bet, I don't know. I think there's some value in Bradley Chubb. I don't even know what the numbers are. Maybe he's one of the favorites. But I think that he's going to have a nice season. And if he doesn't win Defensive Player of the Year, maybe he wins Comeback Player of the Year. So maybe some money put in Bradley Chubb. I wouldn't shy away from that one if you're looking for something. So, they lost Von Miller. Malik Reed, they traded. He had 5 sacks in 14 games. They traded him to the Steelers. Shelby Harris got traded in that Russell Wilson trade to the Seahawks. Stephen Weatherly. I love Stephen Weatherly because he wears these like big goggles, these big glasses on the football field, which is real old school. And if you really look him up, the guy comes from a really smart family. Football is just like his side hobby. Take a look at it. Also, what do we got here? Alexander Johnson. It's like they always come up with these guys who just, it's like undrafted. I believe he's undrafted. They come up with these dudes and they just like do their thing. But for some reason, I got to look deep into the stats, but he's not there no longer and he's still a free agent. Kyle Fuller, rumor has it he was kind of losing his step a little bit last year or like drop off in play. He's now with the Ravens, and the Ravens really need help there. Bryce Callahan is now with the Chargers. So some familiar faces from last season. It's kind of like an overhaul, but at the same time, it's probably nothing to worry about. At the same, no disrespect to the guys who left, but come on. Let's look at it. We're looking at it now. I'm going with you guys. That's the thing. They're going deep they're going full throttle with the no worries on the pass rush, and they got their returning linebackers, and then they have one of the best safeties in the game with Justin Simmons. Kareem Jackson is kind of old, he's 33, but then Surtain, Ronald Darby. Surtain, come on, comes from a pedigree and first-round pick, did his thing, and Ronald Darby, who's performing well, and then you got K'Wan Williams, who's kind of like that swing man with the 49ers. So, you could argue that they got a little bit better there, I mean, it's no guarantee, but at the end of the day, like I said, it's a structure, it's a system that usually works. So let's see how that pulls off. This is the most intriguing team in the NFL. And remember, talking about first to worst, this team can go from worst to first. And I don't think it would shock not one person. Can you imagine I have 16 teams to do? I think I want to break this up into 8 and 8 because I can't be talking for an hour and a half, 2 hours. I mean, I can, but I don't think I want to go full throttle on this. I think I should break it up. I mean, who the hell wants to listen to me talk for 2 hours almost on 16 teams? I guess I can hurry up, but I can't help myself sometimes. This is why I didn't want to write, because when I write, I got to give every single detail. And then at the same time, I don't want to fully commit to it because I still want to dive into the old medium of the day, which is writing. I don't want writing to die. I want to keep contributing to the life of it. But when time is of the essence, I think I should just talk. Now, again, if anybody would transcribe what I've been saying, it wouldn't make any grammatical sense. I mean, it would make grammatical sense, but at the same time, it would be questionable because they're not at times complete sentences. There's stutters, there's this and that. Okay, let me shut up. Let me go here. What are we covering now? Let's go to the next team. Let's go on a random. Which team do we want to talk about? Oh, maybe we should go to the Bengals. Let me get to the Bengals. Before I even find the page to get to the Bengals, I'm going to get to the Bengals. First of all, I'm going to be honest with you. I thought last year that the Raiders were going to beat the Bengals. I thought the Raiders were going to beat the Bengals in the playoffs. I really thought. I just thought it was like two teams. You don't know what you're getting. And in reality, guys, if you really look at this team, guys and gals, if you really look at this team, you really don't know what the hell you're getting. And that goes for both of them. They have the weird stats. If you really look at it, they got some weird stats. But before anything, what's not a weird stat, okay, I don't want to like everyone sound like everybody else. Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow. I mean, you can't say Joe Burrow. You see, when I saw Joe Burrow, when I did a video with a friend before the season, before the playoffs started. And one of the main points I brought up, I was like, you know what? Joe Burrow, I really believe that this is a guy who has like Tom Brady magic to him. Who's a guy that, he's the ultimate it factor. He's a guy that, regardless of what he's dealt, he's going to make the best of it. So, I mean, that LSU Trevor Lawrence game, I didn't watch Joe Burrow. I don't really watch college football, but when I saw that game, I had to watch. Everyone doesn't watch college football until it's the championship game, of course. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is that dude, Joe Burrow. Okay, I see it now. He also had all world wide receivers to throw to. Wasn't that Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson? Can you imagine? 2 of the first 5 picks in the NFL fantasy draft this year. Anyway, I don't know. It just Joe Burrow. What can you say? See, that's like everybody. I'm salivating over Joe Burrow over here. But yeah, the right side of the offensive line. I wrote this down. Right side of the offensive line, including the center, was replaced. Because guys, if you notice, Joe Burrow was also sacked 55 times last season. 55 times is believe it or not, is the third most in the league. 2 other teams gave up more. Can you imagine? So that's the thing with him, rookie year. I noticed this guy was getting smacked. I thought to myself, okay, this is the franchise, but you're going to allow him to get beat up like that? So they smartened up relatively quick, and after 2 years now, they're making some moves for that. I mean, damn, they went to the Super Bowl last year. Ted Karras, 3 years, $18 million. I'm not going to lie. Ted Karras. I remember the Dolphins signed this guy, and I thought, he used to be with the Patriots. I think he won a couple Super Bowls with them, if I'm not mistaken, at least one. And I'm thinking, okay, Ted Karras. He signed for like a cheap deal, like $3 million, $4 million. I mean, now he's got a little bit of a raise. 3 years, $18 million. I guess this is the Super Bowl thing where this guy keeps finding jobs. Alex Kappa, he blocked for Tom Brady. So there you go. There's a little bit of connection right there. Can you imagine? Alex Kappa, guard, 4 years, $35 million. Okay, he got paid. I mean, Brady's going to miss him because you're dealing with something over there. La'el Collins, 3 years, $21 million. Is that not a bargain? I mean, I know La'el's, talking about boom or bust. But man, he's like, when he's on, he's on. But when he like kind of like fades into the sunset, I mean, he kind of fades. It's like, okay, penalty here, maybe he got beat here, but more than likely he's better. He's more good than bad, a lot more good than bad. And the Cowboys, I don't know, man. What were they thinking? What were they thinking? You can't let a guy like now you're straining. Now you're straining for that. You see tackles, good tackles. Sometimes it's like you just gotta pay them, and they did. But then they cap strapped. So what are you gonna do? Hayden Hurst. Can I just say that probably one of the most underrated pickups in the offseason? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's been this way for Hayden Hurst for a while, because I mean what he was like one of four Ravens tight ends at one point, and then he went over to the Falcons, and it was like, yo, good spot. He's gonna replace what Austin Hooper did. And then like maybe there were flashes of it, but I don't know. I mean, now he's on the Bengals. I mean, where there's a lot. I guess you can say there's a lot of ball available, but then then you got to throw to Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. So like you got that going. So, but either way, Hayden Hurst, I like it. I mean, Drew Sample's there, and he was involved. But Hayden Hurst can block. And he's a bigger dude than Sample, I believe. I mean, he can be a little bit more sneaky. He'll block, get out to the flat. I mean, get out to the middle of the field. You know, I think that there's something there with Hurst. I really like it, and he's got the right personality. He's a likable guy. So no doubt, they're going to be maybe more sound. I think that's why I believe that Joe Mixon is going to do his thing this year. I really do. I think Joe Mixon's going to be that dude. I know he's got some injury, a history of injuries here and there, but I really like Joe Mixon this year. I think they're going to simplify the game just a little bit more. I think they're going to commit to a running game. I think they're going to probably try to prevent or try to protect Joe Burrow a little bit more. Yeah, they're going to try to protect him because they picked up, and if you really look at it, they picked up some nice pieces on the offensive line. But I think they're going to protect him a lot more, and I think it's going to be by way of running the ball. I think that Joe Mixon's going to have an increase in production. You just got to stay healthy. And I think that there's a big year ahead for Joe Mixon. So I was trying to tell some people, yo, go get Joe Mixon in fantasy. Fuck it. If he's there, eighth pick, first round, get him. And why not? You might just have a 12 to 1300. Oh my God. 12 to 1300 yards rusher. Okay? And double-digit touchdowns. Is that not at least a top 5 running back? So, yeah, I expect good things from this year. I think they're going to try to really focus on, like, that's why Joe Burrow, I mean, now you know what you're going to get. I mean, they weren't running the ball great last year. They just kept trying. They kept doing it. But, I mean, 19th in attempts. I think that number goes up to at least 14th and more towards the middle of the packet. And that 4.0 yards per carry will probably go more towards a 4.4, 4.3. Is that too much to ask for? So I think that no doubt the running game's going to increase, which is going to make Joe Burrow probably more dangerous. So a lot of talk on that offense when we already know it's going to be good. So it's just a repeat performance from the Bengals defense. And just by looking at them, the whole team is coming back. So that's what's interesting to me. They really didn't make no splashes defensively. I mean, they were comfortable going into the season again, what they had last year. And that was something that was, when I was looking at it, I said, that's pretty surprising to me. I thought that maybe, I guess they had no money to add anybody else. But it's weird because this is the thing that made me feel that I was like bugged out about, is that they're not, 17th in turnovers, okay. First down, they were in the middle. They were 18th in first downs given up. So it's like that's the thing with the Bengals. They're literally the team that any given Sunday, like literally, if you're gonna say any given Sunday, the Bengals can lose or they can win. They can beat anybody or can not possibly lose to anybody. It's a weird team. So I guess with the parity of the NFL these days, I don't know, maybe there was an opportunity last year, a crack, that they were able to slip through because other teams kind of like their luck didn't go their way. But what a strange year. So they're not particularly great at anything, but they win games. And that's why I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, we already knew he was great, but that's what makes Joe Burrow even that more special because even though it's a team that might be average at best as far as where they lie in the statistics, the fact that I mean, they made it all the way to the Super Bowl, this says a lot. But again, we can't discredit them. I mean, these guys got a lot of pressure in the quarterbacks. Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson, those two guys last year were going at it. And if you look at the numbers, they were high up there in pressures. So they got to it. I mean, then it helps when you got DJ Reed up the middle and BJ Hill and it's a lot of beef, as they say. But BJ Hill, wait, was he there? I'm bugging out. He must have. I'm not even looking at the stats right now. But BJ Hill, I guess, yes, he was. And DJ Reader was a big signing for them. Was he healthy the whole year? That's what I need to look at. But he was a huge signing for them. And it's just, solid linebackers. Logan Wilson. I remember Wyoming. Another guy who went to Wyoming, I think, was Justin Smith. You guys remember Justin Smith? He majored in liberal arts. So basically, he majored in football. You can't hate the guy for that. I remember seeing Justin Smith, Wyoming, liberal arts. I'm like, damn. He really just went to school for football. All right, left. I mean, still got Eli. This got to be right, but Eli Apple's still there. All the jokes on Eli Apple. And guess who's laughing last? Eli. He's still there. Von Bell, Jesse Bates. Okay. Awuzie. Oh my God. Awuzie. I'm just saying. I've seen him get burnt or hit or miss with the Cowboys. I mean, but that's the thing. It's like he's a perfect player for the Bengals. You never know. So anyway, and Mike Hilton. So yeah, they're doing their thing. We're gonna move on. What to expect? I mean, what else can I say? Never know. I mean, the X factor. Here's the thing: when you got the X factor, there's gonna be improvements made to this team. But as far as right now, they improved the offensive line, and that's a great start to becoming an even better team. So, do they pull up? What did they have? 10 wins, 10-7. What were they last year? 10-7. That's why they know what to do with those Raiders. 10-7. So here you go. All right. Buffalo Bills, Bengals. Huh? Did they go back to the 10 wins? Who knows? It's gonna be a fun division. Buffalo Bills. How many teams have I done now? So here's the thing. I'm gonna keep it real right here. I know it's stupid to think. I mean, to talk about a team. This is what I hate. This is what hurts me the most. I'm talking about a team that already played. And that's just like, and I don't want to sound like a fraud. I mean, that's the fraudulent part. It's like, well, yeah, you're going to tell me what happened. As I always get on people, don't tell me what happened after it already happened. You already happened. So how are you going to tell me about it? Tell me before it happened. Then I'll believe you. Then there goes your credibility. That's where your credibility lies. So, I mean, what I was going to, if I can add anything, I'm going to read off what I got here in my paper. But first of all, no surprise, right? Can we just start off by saying that? Absolutely no surprise. The Buffalo Bills won their first game. All right? That's like, I don't know. I mean, what are you going to say? They are a dominant football team. They made some reinforcements. See, the main thing that I saw, what I noticed about them is two things. I mean, Roger Saffold, I mentioned earlier, signed a one-year deal, $6.25 million. He's replacing John Feliciano, who at one point thought he was going to finish his career and wanted to finish his career with the Bills. But now he's on the Giants, so he's in a good spot to do something there. So they made kind of the switch there, replaced one with the other. David Quisenberry, who I noticed wasn't starting the other day. I mean, it's Spencer Brown. Quisenberry, also from the Titans. You see the Saffold, Quisenberry, both Titans. I thought that maybe they were going to, in my mind, I thought they were going to kind of, or that might signify that they're going to run the ball a little bit more. You know, getting two offensive linemen from a team that runs the ball really well. That, as of now, that's not the case. It's the same offense. But again, you're really going to run the ball when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen. Fun fact, and a friend of mine, he's in a 2-quarterback league, and first of all, 2-quarterback league is bugged out. First pick, Josh Allen. I'm thinking, really, Josh Allen? But then it's like, okay, it makes complete sense. Not that it's Josh Allen. It's like, would you ever play in a 2-quarterback league? I think that's the part that bugged me out the most. Anyway, Josh Allen, I mean, he's got the look in his eye. Remember last year he had this look or a couple years ago, he had this like deer in the headlights look, where like, you know, it's kind of like he was developing, but he still had that like, oh crap, what am I doing here? Or like a little bit of panic. Let's just call it panic. His eyes are a little bit too wide open. But now it's like it's got like a glare where it's his team. And I tried to write a headline last year. I mean, all I wrote was the headline. And I said, the Bills offense belongs to Josh Allen. I mean, because it does. When he wants to run, he runs. When he's going to throw, he throws. And then everybody's going to pretty much get the ball. And there's no favoritism, although the two receivers he does have at the top of the depth chart, Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs, I mean, what a tandem. I mean, Gabe Davis, it's easy to say that now because he caught 4 touchdowns in the playoffs. 4 touchdowns in a game against the Chiefs, is that right? And Diggs, who was already good prior to coming from the Vikings, is going to have, 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons with the Bills? I mean, you might be, is this what a Hall of Famer in the making looks like? I guess so, yeah. So, but one move, this is the thing. This is why I wish I would have got this out. Because Jamison Crowder, bro, is there not a better pickup for the slot than Jamison Crowder? I know they got Isaiah McKenzie there, who they really like. Who's quick, who's shifty. Not the biggest guy, but he's tough. But Jamison Crowder, that dude is the perfect complement. He's a guy that, if you really look at him, he doesn't have 1,000-yard seasons, but he's a guy that when you look at a guy's career and he averages like 600 to 600 to 700 yards, maybe I'm over the top there, but he's had solid campaigns with the formerly known as Redskins, and then he's had good first year with the Jets, and then a couple last year not too much, but the year before that was, he says what I'm getting at. He's had a solid career. So for him to now, he fits perfectly. His demeanor with the Buffalo Bills makeup all together, perfect fit. So yeah, Josh Allen. Why should I even talk much about it? I really thought they're going to maybe run the ball a little bit more, but it looks like it's going to be the same. And all it comes down to is it's not necessarily going to be the same because Josh Allen still has room to grow, and he's still growing. Believe it or not, they say he's still growing. Second, third growth spurt. Wow, it's a big kid. Well, Josh Allen is going to be that dude, or already is that dude. And he's just evolving even more. Super Bowl or bust, I guess, at this point, right? And moving on to the defense, I mean, my guy Ed Oliver, best hairline in the game, hands down. And here's the thing. Got hurt, got banged up. I think he got banged up. I think he's been getting banged up here and there in his career. Beast, but want to see him healthy. But that's the thing. This is why I wanted to get this out beforehand. Jordan Phillips, the one dude I want to talk about. Jordan Phillips. This is a guy who previously played with the Bills back. Hold on 1 second. What's going on here? Here comes company. All right. I'm going to finish off with the Bills here, and I'm going to continue on. Right? 1 sec. Let me just get this out. I got this. I'm just talking about the Bills right here.
Can I have a drink? I just stepped in for a drink.
Oh, sure. I'm live streaming here.
Oh, sorry.
What do I got? What do you need?
Give me a Monster. I'm going back out.
Why?
I just picked up a quick new promo today. 6 patches, $100.
Get out of here.
No, serious.
Get it done.
You good? Check your test. You see what I made today? Over 200.
Get out of here. See, this is the beautiful thing about this page. Dad, be safe. Good luck and be safe. What happened? Good for him. That's amazing. Hold on. We're going to put this on pause. Oh. Wow. Okay. See, I knew something was going to happen. And yes, that was that was the man who created me. No. They were married at one point. Male and female. All right. So, going back to the Bills, I'm talking about Jordan Phillips. Here's the thing. Jordan Phillips. See, like I told you, YouTube Sports Network, don't expect nothing that you're going to see on TV. First of all, don't expect a thing you're going to see on TV. Professional, here and there. Unorthodox, most of the time. Again, it's not about a continuous stream of information. It's not about rules and goals, and well, it should be about goals, but like I said, it's going to be the strangest thing that you hear, but it might be some of the most informed information all over the place, or most informed all over the place information you've ever heard. So take it how you want it, but believe in it. That's all I got to say. Now, but I will be honest. I would, if there is a way I could take out all the side talk that just happened, I would. But I'm live streaming to an empty auditorium. All right, but it ain't about that. This right now, I need to get. If anything, if nobody even hears this, at least I have it down. As long as my computer's on and it doesn't shut off, which is plugged in, and it's almost fully charged. In fact, it is. Then that's all that matters, because the writing thing was just not gonna happen. I got through 8 teams, and the season starts literally in 12 hours. Go figure. So, and it took me 2 days to do 8. Story for another time. Let's go back to Jordan Phillips. I love the Jordan Phillips pickup. I thought I was like, because I got late to the research again, because baseball, and then hockey takes your attention too, and you dive into what's going on over there, and then basketball, but like I said, story for another time. That's another story for another time. But I said, wait a second, Jordan Phillips is back with the Buffalo Bills, where he started to thrive, and become the player who the Dolphins thought he would be. So when I saw him go back, I think the Cardinals released him, and then he wound up back on the Bills. Loved it, absolutely loved it, because the guy is a mammoth of a human being, and he's quick, and he gets sacks, and not a lot of defensive tackles get sacks. And I think he just got 2 sacks in the most previous game. And then you have Von Miller, who hopefully, because I don't like to see, first of all, I feel like I'm putting it out there, but Von Miller for a full season with the Bills, man, I want to see that. He did sign for 5 years, 6 years, 100 and something. What was it? 5, 6 years. Let me that one. I got to look at the notes for. Hold on a second. Although it was so extensive, I should remember 6 years up to $120 million. Yikes. 1 year, $5 million to Jordan Phillips. Bargain. Tim Settle, 2 years, $9 million. Okay, I saw him involved in the action. He came from the defensive line room, or the department of the Washington Commanders, or football team. So Daquan Jones, like I mentioned, Greg Rousseau. Here's the thing. Boogie Basham and Greg Rousseau. That's the thing. That's the beautiful thing about this. I can even throw in AJ Epinesa, who I'm thinking to myself, I don't know. The more I look at him, the more I think he's kind of kind of fading. Like, it's so early to say that, but when something that gives me the impression that he better start doing something sooner. He's not gonna be on the team too much, past this season. That's a bold claim, but there's something there. But Boogie Basham, first of all, who does he remind me of? I know the number 55, yeah, but he kind of has like that Carlos Dunlap, dare I say, Chandler Jones look. There's something about him. I don't know if it's a uniform look, but he's tall, upright, but not lanky. He's quick, and he tipped the ball and he caught the intercept. I'm like, whoa. That guy is gonna do something. They drafted him in the second round last year, but I'm not making a bold claim, but I didn't watch a lot of him. And then I seen him do that. I was like, oh, okay. Something about it. He's got that Chandler Jones kind of, I don't know. Not Elvis Doomerville. I don't know. He's kind of, what was the first name I said? I'm still thinking about the interruption. Chandler Jones / I'll come back to me. Wow. Again, but as far as linebackers, Matt Milano, Tremont Edwards, did you see the rankings on the linebackers? Tremaine Edmonds is not even in the middle of the pack. So that kind of caught my eye a little bit. He doesn't rank as one of the top 20 linebackers in the NFL. So pay attention to that one. That one I want to see. Jordan Poyer, Mika Hyde. That's one thing I wrote on my papers that I was in my notes. You know what it is? To be honest, I'm losing my track here because I'm thinking, who the hell did I say Boogie Bash reminds me of? Chandler. I'm gonna go back and listen to this and go, oh boy, cut that out too. Just as much as the other thing. YouTube Sports Network. I never said that I was gonna be perfect. I never said that I was here to sound like anybody on TV. Remember that? I'm just giving you a disclaimer. Every now and then, if I start losing my place, I'm going to make sure I give you guys an idea of what you shouldn't have expected, and I'm going to give you what is actually going to happen. Okay? So, again, the story is this. F.A. Obata, pass rusher, D end, who's like kind of new to football apparently, signs with Washington. I think he's going to fit nice over there in the rotation. I think he started playing football like 27. I don't know. Something crazy. I think he's 27 now. Either way, I read up on his Wikipedia, which is not always factual, apparently, or at least it wasn't, and now might be. He got this football thing down pat, but it wasn't necessarily his first thing. Mario Addison, who I mentioned earlier, signed with the Texans. Vernon Butler's a free agent. Star Lotuluai. Oh, man. Like I told you earlier, I'm not very good with names. He's a free agent as well. So that's D tackles, 2 D tackles they didn't bring back who are still free agents. And Harrison Phillips, another D tackle, signed with the Vikings for 3 years, $19.5 million. And then Jerry Hughes. So Jerry Hughes and Addison both lead the Bills and go to the Texans. So decent, pretty nice pickups there by the Texans. But so that's the thing. They lost a couple. They let 3 pass rushers go. So Von Miller, I guess, accounts for like 3 of them because. Which is interesting if you look at. So now Von Miller accounts for at least 1 or 2 of those guys, right? And then you can argue all 3. No disrespect to those dudes. And then at least with the money, adds up to the whole team. But that means they're giving more run to Greg Rousseau, and Boogie Basham. So so what I'm giving here is I'm just giving my mind analysis, what I'm seeing, what I'm thinking, giving you everything. How effective is it to throw the whole kitchen sink at you? Who knows? At least I can say I did it. I said it. I can't go back and say, oh, I wish I would have said this. I'll also give you the whole thing. As long as I can keep you entertained, I'm starving. All right, so here's the story, too. Christian Benford. I kept saying, oh, Chris Collinsworth. Christian Benford is taking time away from Kaiir Elam, who was drafted in the 1st round. But Benford, who was drafted in the 6th round, is getting more burn. I mean, at least early on. I can see that eventually switching. But the fact is that the 6th rounders get more run than the 1st. No panic there. It's a great situation. I think you would want the 6th rounder. I mean, it depends how you look at it. I wouldn't say you want the 6th rounder to beat out the 1st rounder because you want the 1st rounder to perform like the 1st rounder he's expected to be. But it's nice to see some competition in the room. Yo, this team right here, Teron Johnson's like that nickelback / linebacker, the hybrid like Derwin James type dude you can see. And then they have, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, Poyer and Mika Hyde. If you look at it, that's the life, what do they call it? The lifeline or whatever you call it, the main bane of the defense. Oof, just saying that makes me cringe. But seeing those dudes, like their stats, first of all, they were amazing last season. They're one of the 2 better, probably the best, I guess you can say the best safety duo in the league. And they're both not very young. I believe they're both like 31 years old. So, I mean, they're going up there in age. The only thing you think is, are they going to decline in production? Are they going to decline in how they perform? But with a whole complete team like they have and the rotation that the Bills have, it's crazy to think that they can still add a guy like Von Miller when they were already number 1 last year in defense. So, wow. I said a lot for a team that doesn't need a lot you don't have to say a lot about. So, let's see if I can add another one here. Who we got? I've done the Bills. I've done the Bengals. Texans. Titans. Broncos. That's 5. Let's do one more. Let's do one more. Let's talk about. I'm going to do one more, shut it down, and come back. Because this is alive. And it's just about almost an hour. 6 teams dedicated. An hour dedicated to 6 teams. This is basically my notes. I'm allowing to air my thoughts out, and this is very important because if I go into tomorrow's games and I don't have any record of what I felt, I'd be very disappointed. So I'm happy that this is created. The YouTube Sports Network was created. Can you imagine? I have some nerve. All right. Let's talk about those Baltimore Ravens. I want to talk about the Ravens. We're gonna end with the Ravens. I think it's only right. Because this is one of the first teams I talked about. 8-9. The Ravens are 8-9. Points for 17th. Points against 19th. Lost 6 straight games to end the season. Wow. On offensive line, Alejandro Villanueva retired. So in place, they signed Morgan Moses. Morgan Moses was like the understudy of Trent Williams, if you guys remember. He was the understudy of Trent Williams in a way. And they're almost damn near the same size. 2 big-ass behemoths. And now, I saw that he might be from the area. So is he finally going to be like going to live up to what I always thought that he was eventually going to become, like get the spotlight? Maybe, being that he's in an offense where his skills can shine better. Maybe, he's a big dude. He can maul you. So, and the Ravens want to run and they want to get back to running better than they did last year. So I think maybe Morgan Moses, on the right side does his thing. And look at that, Juwan James. Oh, because Ronnie Stanley's hurt again. That's right, Juwan James, who was also, and I believe he was a first-round pick. I know he was a pick by the Dolphins. And then he went to the Broncos as well, I believe. So, I mean, now he's going to start left tackle. And they signed him for insurance. I saw they signed him for a 2-year, $9 million deal. So they had him for insurance. And now he's getting an opportunity to play. So, you don't want that's the thing about the Ravens. That's just the main storyline for me, like at least going in. Are they going to stay healthy? This is a team that needs to stay healthy. Because if they don't, they're not going to perform. And especially if Lamar Jackson is not healthy, which he wasn't last year in a portion. So they lost 6 straight games. So think about it. They were 8-3 going into it. And then they lose 6 straight, and now they're out in the playoff picture. So it was a difficult season last year for the Ravens, and some things about them that it was health, and it was also the play of their secondary. They were starting to get exposed a bit. Let's just talk about that. They were starting to get exposed a bit because if you look at the numbers, I'm like, wait, let me take a look at this defense real quick. Let me see what the numbers really show. Because if you watch them on paper, they didn't. I mean, if you watched them play on TV, you notice that it wasn't that same Ravens defense. No shot. There was something. It was just they were easier to throw against. They were easier to get yardage on. So I was like, all right, let me look at the stats. Last in yards per play, they give up 6 yards per play. They were last in pass yards against. Last in yards per pass attempt. Take that how you want. Just hear this. Pass yards against. Total pass yards against. And last in yards per play. That to me is uncharacteristic of the Ravens defense. But oddly enough, when it came down to when it was third down and it came down to red zone, they hunkered down, as they say, and they performed. And the numbers are actually better than a lot of other teams, which is interesting. Third best third down and 12th in the red zone. So as bad as they were in between all that, in between the 20s, as they say, they or as good as they were in between, or as good as they were in the red zone, they were just as bad in between the 20s. So what did they do to address the defense that already was getting burned? Well, I'll say one thing. Justin Matabuke, I like this kid. I think he came out with Neville Gallimore, who's with the Cowboys. I remember trying to evaluate these guys. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's easy to look at highlights and be like, wow, he's good because everything looks good on film. But this kid's got a motor and he's stocky, like not the tallest guy in the world, but he's a big, strong kid. So is he gonna move the? He's just gonna move the pile. That's the thing. Calais Campbell's on the DN, huh? It's all about the pass rush with the Ravens. See, that's the reason. That's a big factor as to why they are getting up all those yards, because they just quite frankly could not get to the quarterback and create much pressure. So once the Ravens, let me start that. Instead of rambling, let me get down to like real storyline stuff, real details of the game here, or at least storyline. I'm not a D coordinator, offensive coordinator. I'm not well versed in the lingo, but I can evaluate. I feel like as though I can evaluate. And I will say this, and also you could see it. Ravens need to get more pressure on the quarterback so their secondary doesn't have to run wild or have to chase these receivers around. They don't have to, or they can at least alleviate some of the pressure. See, a good line helps the secondary, and vice versa at times. But most importantly, a good line pressure makes the secondary that much better. So what the Ravens need to really, or they gotta hope they get, is they need to get some more pressure. And by looking at what they got, they brought back Brent Urban, who's kind of like floating around a little bit. I mean, he's not a big sack guy. He's a big ass dude, he's like 6'7", but he's not getting a lot of sacks. And he's coming from the Cowboys, who just kind of like rotated him like for a couple games. And they got Steven Means, who was strange to wear number 60 as a pass rusher. They got him from Atlanta. I was looking into him a little bit. I think he's got something there. He's a little bit of an older pass rusher, like for a guy who doesn't have a lot of experience, I believe. But they're relying on guys that in a rotation that what are you hoping for? A shot in the dark? So they gotta hope that Odafe Owe. See, again, I'm not good with the names, but you gotta hope, big number 99. Something about the 99s, huh? The home run hitters. You gotta hope that he comes out and he gets to the quarterback. Because other than that, there's not a lot of guys that are getting there. I mean, Justin Houston, again, they're relying on an aging veteran who, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure, and he still gets pressure on the quarterback, but he's not getting to the quarterback too much. So, and on top of that, Marcus Peters. I feel like Marcus Peters was kind of declining a couple years ago with the Rams, or at least with a little bit, like not too recently with the Ravens. So they're kind of, Marlon Humphrey's that dude, and they're going to target him. They try to target him, and they don't come up with too much. But Kyle Fuller, who I just mentioned earlier, kind of was already kind of fading a little bit with the Broncos, they were saying. Again, guys come back to life quickly, so it's not like he's done for. But if you already had question marks, and now he's going to have to fulfill a role that the Ravens really need production from, I don't know. But if anything, I see them as Fuller and Peters, mentoring the younger corners that they have right now, along with Marlon Humphrey. But, I see Demarion Williams, Jalen Armour Davis. These are two corners that were drafted in the 4th round of this year. So I think the Ravens are going to try to implement these guys under the tutelage of the veteran corners. And then you got Marcus. A big signing. They have other guys there too. No disrespect to Brandon Stevens, so I noticed him. Geno Stone, 7th round pick a couple years ago. Getting his time. These are guys, special teams / contributors. Chuck Clark's been there for a little bit, but he's not very old. But he's a household name there for a while. They still hold the names that they've previously had, but they need to find. It's a iffy situation with the Ravens because there's nothing here that makes me feel like they're going to be too much better. And the only way they're going to be better, see, if they performed in the third downs in the red zone, the only way for me they're going to be that much better is if the offense does their thing to alleviate some of the pressure off the defense. So, too many 3-and-outs. I'm pretty sure. I got to look at those numbers, but the 3-and-outs or too many short drives isn't going to help the defense like this. So Lamar Jackson, it's almost like the Ravens' best defense is their offense. So they went out and they got Marcus Williams. He's only 26. He became one of the top 10 paid safety from the Saints. He got paid nice. I think it was 5 years, $70 million. So I think that's a similar contract to Gregory. So either way, what I'm getting at is he's going to be mightily important. You inject a little bit of more youth. Well, I just mentioned a bunch of youth guys who were young, but you injected a guy who was a part of a really good secondary or just a really good system overall with the Saints in Marcus Williams. So I think, all eyes are going to be on him, of course, and how he can improve the defense. And then and the linebackers, they found one with Josh Bynes. He's been in the league for a minute. And it's like he always says to prove to somebody, I'm good. Look, I'm good. You can please have faith in me. And he sticks around. And Patrick Queen, that dude who just runs all over the field, that dude, he gets around. And Kyle Hamilton, I'm seeing right here, first round pick, safety. So if you compare up Hamilton with Williams and factor him in, as safeties, and it's just, I can see it working. I really could, but it's going to have to be through the offense of the Ravens for this to work. And are they healthy on the offensive line? They got Jawan James, like I said. Ben Powers is coming back. Kevin Seitler is coming back. But Morgan Moses is new. Tyler Linderbaum, first round pick. He looks like he can do it. And on the other end, they got depth in Cleveland, Trishan Colon, Patrick McCarry, guys who got time last year. So it's of anything, you would hope that the depth that they have, although hopefully they won't need to use it. They're a little bit better than they were. But Ronnie Stanley getting hurt again. That doesn't make that Orlando Brown. That makes that Orlando trade look even worse now. Not that it was a horrible trade, but it was a shocking trade. So that's interesting. Interesting in Baltimore. You got, as long as they stay healthy, they cast the receivers. Rashad Bateman and Devin Duvernay and James Proche II. Again, forgive me with the names, but Duvernay, I remember with Texas, right? He was like a burner. He was is he gonna be that dude? He up the field. He can get up the field. But Rashad Bateman's gonna be really important. Mark Andrews is like in Kelsey territory right now. So, and J.K. Dobbins, man, J.K. Dobbins. I really want to see what he can do. I think he's gonna be I think as the season goes on, I think they're gonna ease him in a little bit. I think they're gonna find a way to I think he gets a workload, but I think he's gonna be a little bit on a pitch count. But I believe if the Ravens get going, it's gonna be because of him and Lamar, of course. But it's gonna be that second half surge. But again, it's what are you getting? Lamar has to be healthy, and they need to, that efficient. He has to be an efficient passer. But Marquise Brown's not there anymore, and I don't know if there was some type of they traded him to the Cardinals. I don't know if taking his his presence away, if it's addition by subtraction, and I don't know how you can be better by letting a guy that talented go or getting rid of him. But maybe it's the other guys are more hard hat on, don't worry about the numbers. Not that, again, I don't know Marquise Brown personally. I'm not saying he's a quote unquote cancer in the locker room, but the guy, he could be a superstar, and it's probably better off he's on the Cardinals anyway, where he's going to be able to shine, because it's tough when he's on offense on first like the Ravens are. So I think it's the fact that they spread it around a little bit. You don't know exactly who might be that dude. On paper, it is Rashad Bateman, and of course, it's always going to be Mark Andrews. But I think the fact that they have a few receivers there that can lull you to sleep a little bit. I think I can't even pronounce. I think it's going to be one of those the Ravens can be a little bit better this year, but it all starts with Lamar and how the health of him and the offensive line in total. So I'm going to take a break. I need to take a break. 1 hour and 13 minutes, and I covered how many teams? I'll be back. Give me a moment. This is the YouTube Sports Network.